Right then, pull up a chair, grab a pint, or a cup of tea if you're feeling proper. And let's talk about the time the good people of Nottingham said, "No more," and started hurling cheese like it was a revolutionary weapon. This is the Great Cheese Riot of 1766, a tale of greed, Gouda, and a mayor who got clocked by a wheel of dairy. Picture it, 1766, Nottingham, goose fairs in full swing. There's ale, merriment, and the sweet smell of exploitation in the air. Prices are up, wages are not, and the thing people are really losing their minds over, cheese. Not politics, not war, not religion, just big, round, beautiful cheese. But this isn't just a story about dairy gone wild. No, mate, this is about class tension, economic despair, and a group of fed-up townsfolk who were one Gouda short of a meltdown. Right, so let's set the table before we flip it. The mid-1700s were rough. Britain had just wrapped up the 7 Years' War, which, spoiler alert, cost a lot of money. So the government did what governments do best. Pass the cost on to the people. Taxes went up, trade shifted, and poor harvest meant food prices spiked like your uncle's blood pressure at Sunday dinner. And for the common folk, that meant choosing between bread or cheese, or sometimes neither. Especially cheese, which had skyrocketed in price like it was made of gold and unicorn tears. It was a food crisis, plain and simple. The elite merchants? They were still toasting port and nibbling Stilton. Everyone else? Chewing air sandwiches. Now, if you've never heard of Nottingham's Goose Fair, it's like a 1700s version of a food festival meets livestock bazaar. Once a year, folks would come in droves to buy geese, cheese, and whatever else tickled their fancy. But in 1766, the only thing getting tickled was the last nerve of every poor buyer who saw the price tags on the cheese. Vendors at the fair had jacked up prices. Some say they were charging more than double. The people, not amused. And then, boom, the crowd turned. Like someone lit a powder keg made of dairy rage, shouting, pushing. Wheels of cheese rolling down the cobbled streets like cannonballs of rebellion. And then, in walks the mayor, dressed in all his pomp, trying to restore order. Brave, really. But fate had other plans. Legend has it, he gets knocked to the ground by a flying cheese. That's right, the mayor got brie-slapped. It wasn't just a riot, it was a riot with snacks. Let's imagine it, a street full of chaos, vendors shouting, "Get your cheese!" A man yells back, "At those prices, you're mad!" Then a cheese wheel, perhaps a hefty derby, flies across the square and smashes into a stall. Another cheese is stolen, rolled away like a captured flag in battle. It's a full-on cheese chase, milk-based anarchy. You've got poor mums with kids grabbing dairy and fleeing, farmers tossing wheels onto carts like it's the Great Dairy Heist of 1766, and the mayor lying flat on his back, covered in cheddar shrapnel. Someone probably yelled, "This is for the Gouda of the people." We can't confirm that, but we're going to pretend someone did. All right, let's sober up a bit here. This wasn't just about cheese, though it makes a great headline. The real issue, desperation, inequality, anger. People were sick of starving while landowners and merchants profited off scarcity. They weren't just throwing cheese, they were throwing centuries of frustration back in the faces of the people who ignored them. This riot was, in many ways, the people saying, "You won't feed us, then we'll take it ourselves." And yes, it was funny that a mayor got dairy bombed, but it was also tragic that people had to resort to riots just to afford food. Let's talk values for a sec. Moral clarity? Absolutely. People were starving. Cheese prices were rigged. They fought back. Purpose? Yep, basic survival. Belief versus action? They didn't just complain, they mobilised. In public, loudly, with cheese wheels. That's courage in action, mate. Now, was it legal? No. But was it right? That's the ethical sausage or sandwich we've got to chew on. Sometimes when the system's broken, people start throwing snacks. By the way, get this. Some of the cheese that was looted, It was later hidden in wells and chimneys to avoid detection. Yeah, they were literally hiding cheddar like contraband rum. One farmer reportedly used his own barn's thatched roof as a makeshift cheese vault. Tell me again, cheese isn't serious business. After the riot, local authorities panicked. They tried to brush it off as a one-time disturbance, but this was just one of many food riots sweeping Britain at the time. The people weren't buying the narrative, literally or figuratively. And word of Nottingham's cheesy chaos? It spread quickly. Other towns started questioning pricing. Farmers got nervous. Authorities scrambled to suppress similar uprisings. But the message was out there. Don't mess with the people's dairy. The Great Cheese Riot wasn't a revolution, but it was a preview, a warm-up act, a cheesy overture to the symphony of civil unrest that would explode in the decades to come, on both sides of the Atlantic. It showed that when food becomes a luxury, even the meek will throw a punch, or a cheddar wheel. This riot said, "We will not starve quietly, we will not suffer in silence, and if necessary, we will fight you with cheese." So next time someone tells you history's boring, ask them if they've heard about the riot where the mayor got KO'd by a dairy wheel. Stay curious, stay sharp, and stay just sober enough to remember it all. This was just a swig of history, and if it wasn't in your textbook, it bloody well should have been. And before you go, do a brother favour and like, share and subscribe.